So this is okay here, and we're just going to do a quick coverage of Variant Bunny against Nyghtguard. It's a very one-sided match. Variant Bunny is 2100 plus, Nyghtguard is not even 1500, but the purpose is to be instructive and to say where are the mistakes. So already takes on f6 is a slight error because it opens up Variant Bunny's bishops, even though you lose a piece for a pawn. So this is actually something you are quite happy to give up that knight, as long as you've got a pawn on f6 and castle behind it and so on. Bishop d6, she's already eyeing in the long term if the king castles on the king side. She herself castles quickly. Notice that white doesn't have a pawn for h6, he has a knight, whereas black has a pawn for h3, which will be used if the opportunity arises, even as early as now. And because that went by too quickly, so the pressure on the d4 pawn, white defends, but notice how every piece black is developing a new piece into the board. So white only now castles. So this is another reason why this sack is good. It develops quickly. Queen here, and already she's eyeing this h3 square. Bishop here, and she just puts bishop on h3. And she wants to attack, so she's just going to rip off that knight. Oh, she doesn't. Okay. So she moves this, does this, and just going for queen g2, chessmate, and it's hard to defend. Okay, but the opponent has managed to defend, but knight here check and queen takes rook is checkmate. Okay, that's not a mate I saw coming. So in game 2 is already over, before I even got a chance to look at it. e4, e5, and we see this knight g5 line. Black plays h6, takes pawn here, and black just resigned. It's going to be a very uncomfortable position with something like pawn takes rook and rook on the back rank. Or even bishop takes rook. Apparently is even stronger than pawn takes rook. So because bishop takes rook keeps the king on the back rank. For the meantime, the knight is defending any rook drop, so that's why you play knight d5 next. If he takes it, you probably don't take back exactly. You go straight away for checkmate. If he doesn't take it, well, what can he do? You can put like knight on d7 to defend, and then bishop takes h6 is the idea. And rook is landing on d8. So, turning to game 3, hopefully. I haven't quite finished this game yet. This game, Variant Bunny is playing the Scandinavian, so sacking lots of pawns just to develop quickly. Notice the fast development. And again, going for h3 takes. You should never let the opponent take there, but if rook g1 is maybe good, castle. Yeah, you can't castle into this. You can't castle into this attack. But also you can't take it here because knight at g2, bishop takes h3 is nasty. So rook g1 was the move there. So this is now the live position. So takes is possible, but knight could come here. Knight here is reasonable, it defends the pawn, it's protected by the bishop. There's no worries of queen takes f7 because bishop takes, king is safe. So knight here looks reasonable, and then you have to try and figure out how to get a second knight or a rook into the corner. So we're a little bit short of pieces to do this, but this is tempting with the idea of picking up this rook. So you'd have to defend, move the rook or something. So this is very tempting here. And it has to be taken because otherwise the knight is landing here, and that's mate. So okay, this happens. now needs to block or move the rook. Just moving the rook is a bad idea because bishop takes pawn. Oh, just hangs the rook. And you have to always be aware, where is my opponent threatening mate? And in this case, the mate is on h1. So white throws in a check, but not defending this mate. Needs knight at g3, maybe, to survive a little bit longer. But it doesn't really work because you just put a rook there anyway. Knight takes, pawn takes, king takes. Now that you have a bishop in hand, king here and a knight here is checkmate. So white just resigns. So see, in this position, if we were to open up Stockfish, it would suggest knight at g3, rook at h1, knight takes rook, pawn takes, king takes. Here we still have the pawn in hand, which is all we need for mate. We didn't need the bishop. So this is the mate. I'm guessing that Nyghtguard is forfeiting the match, and so my guess is that's 3-0, and Variant Bunny takes the match. Looks like Nyghtguard just gave up, even though he's only losing 1 point for the Crazyhouse lessons. So that's it, and that's everything from me. Good night.